Welcome to Pathways Through the Prairie. I am your host, State Librarian Mary Soucie. We will interview North Dakota librarians and library staff, state government leaders and employees, and interesting North Dakotans. Join us as we meander down the pathways through the prairie. I am joined today by Williston Community Library Director Andrea Placher. I've known Andrea for almost 10 years, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. Thank you for joining me, Andrea.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So, Andrea, we're just going to have a conversation today. The mission of the State Library is creating pathways to information and innovation. What was your pathway to your position as library director?
Okay, cool. All right. So it's not a real glamorous story, but it started with me actually. I came from Michigan, so I'm a native of Michigander, and I taught preschool there. And then in 2012, when the boom was happening here in North Dakota, my husband actually knew a friend of a friend of a friend, as many of us here now did, and he came to do some work. He owned his own business, and it just wasn't doing very well. The economy was just not great back there. So he came back and forth, and then we decided that that was not fun for our family. We had young children at the time, and he said, I really think North Dakota is where we need to go. And I said, I'm sorry, where? What is this place called? Oh, South Canada. Got it. So then we decided, okay, we're serious about this. So I started looking for a job. I tried to transfer as a preschool teacher at Head Start, and they didn't have any openings. So I said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And there was an opening for a children's librarian here. And I said, well, I love the library. I've never worked in a library. I don't really know anything about working in a library, but what the heck, we'll give it a shot. So I sent all my stuff in. Yeah, great, wonderful. I had a phone interview and got hired on the spot. And I was like, okay, that was weird. Like, this lady doesn't know who I am. She's never met me. I could literally be like anybody. But we packed up our whole life, our whole family, came to North Dakota. Best decision I ever made. I loved it here. We love the community here. It was just wonderful. People just like me had moved here, from nothing to trying to find a new life. And once I had kind of got my groove here as a children's librarian, my director I knew was looking to retire probably in the next 5 to 10 years. So I was like, gosh, is that something I want to do? I really, really loved being the children's librarian, but I just felt like I could give more. And so I had, mentioned to her, like, hey, I know, you're getting ready to retire in a while. Like, what do you think, do you think I have what it takes to do this? And she was like, yeah, like, let's get you into some classes. Let's have you start kind of shadowing me. And I was like, okay, cool. And then, less than a year later, she was like, by the way, I'm retiring. So I was like, oh, that really speeds the track up here. Like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And so we actually shopped for other directors for our library because I just didn't feel that I was ready to take that on in such a quick time frame. So they actually hired another person to come. It took a couple months, but they had somebody hired and ready to go. And I was okay with it because, again, I was just like, I just wasn't ready. And that actually happened to fall through. And my director came to me and said, like, listen, I think you might be ready. And I was like, oh, I'm glad you do, because I really don't think I am. But after, thinking about it, and I was like, I think I can do this. Like, I think it's going to be okay. And so after going through a couple interviews, I had still been taking library classes. I went through Leadership Williston here in town. So I knew enough people, I felt, that would surround me and help me through this. And I got the job. And again, it was the best, scariest, nerve-wracking decision I ever made. To be honest, I do still miss sometimes being the children's librarian. But our current children's librarian is really great in that she lets me integrate into some of the things. And so that's good. And then sometimes it's just, it was the less stressful job. So I just miss sometimes that part of it. But now that I've done it for almost 6 years, I cannot literally imagine doing anything else. So I actually recently just earned my library support staff certificate from ALA. So I'm really excited about that and continuing taking courses and, trying to just make sure that I'm up to snuff on what's going on in the library land, since my track wasn't really necessarily library related in the beginning, because my education is in early childhood education, which has served its purpose, but I want to make sure that I'm, doing all I can and making sure the staff is doing all they can to stay up to par on library world. So, yeah.
I think your story is not unlike a lot of people in the library world, that they didn't intend to necessarily be a librarian. They came through it. They kind of meandered their way to librarianship. I always wanted to be a librarian. When I was a kid, I played school, but I also played library.
Right.
But I also was a children's librarian, a youth services librarian first. And like you, I can't imagine not being a library director, but I sometimes miss being a children's librarian.
Yeah. It's just there's magic to it. It's really just, there's magic.
There is. You're making such a difference, such a connection, instilling that love of literacy early on. There was a lot in your answer, right? So you're a native Michigander. Is that the right way to say that?
Yes.
Michigander.
And technically, I'm a troll because I lived under the bridge, not above the bridge.
Okay.
So above the bridge, you're a Youper. Underneath the bridge, you're a troll.
You're a troll. Okay. That could take us in a whole different direction, Andrea. So you loved being a children's librarian. What did you love about being a children's librarian?
Oh boy. Well, it was much like, okay, so when I got into the world of teaching preschool, I literally thought that was my purpose in life. I was never going to do anything else. When I found my space there, I was like, this is it. And I think being a children's librarian, youth services, and doing, preschool, being a preschool teacher, or just teaching in general, I think there's a lot of parallels to them. And again, just knowing that you are changing kids' lives, which you can in other ways at the library too, but being this person in their life that is helping form them, shape them. They're just so darn cute, right? Like, that's the other thing. And just the creative process that goes into it, like being able to create programs, being able to do activities with them, see each week how they're growing and learning those songs, and being so excited about, reading the books and wanting to do the felt stories with you. It's just like, it's such a feeling that you really can't get anywhere else, I think, or I didn't think at the time, right? Now I know a little different, but it's just like them coming in and saying, hi, Miss Andrea, and knowing who you are and seeing you at the store. And you can't go anywhere without somebody knowing who you are. It's just such a wonderful feeling to know that you're being such an influential part in their life. Just loved it.
Do you feel that as library director, you are influential in people's lives?
Yes. At the time, right, like being a children's librarian, did I know that feeling could be a different feeling, but in kind of the same way? I did not. Now, being in this position for so long, absolutely. Because now, not only am I helping with the kids, maybe not in the same way. Maybe I'm being able to expand our programming, expand our finances for programming, and do things like that in different ways. But now I'm able to do it for our entire community, for the teens, for the tweens, for the adults, for the seniors. Now it's like so much more has opened up that I can have a hand in that as well. So, and now I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool. It's kind of the same but different. And now I'm reaching more people and being able to help our team feel that same way as well. Whereas before it was just kind of me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have this whole team of folks that now I can help them have the same feeling that I had. And I hope that's how they feel. Yeah.
And has your team grown at all?
So we've pretty much stayed steady with the amount of employees we have. We have a very low turnover here, which I think speaks volumes to what we're doing. The team is very passionate about what they do. So really, and then, finances and things like that, budgets, you kind of have to, stay within. But we've been kind of creative with some things. We recently just promoted one of our part-timers that's been with us a while to become a library program aide, and she is helping us create our new tween and teen program. So the goal would be to kind of prove that we need this position and turn it into a full-time position. And she's been doing it now for, I think, she started in summer, so 4 or 5 months, and we're already seeing leaps and bounds that, yes, this is absolutely needed. And so we're hoping to show the powers that be that, hey, we kind of need this money so we can make sure that this program is standing.
So for listeners who may not be familiar with the term tween,
yes.
Can you talk about what's the difference between a teen and a tween, and what's the difference between the programming you do?
Absolutely. So there's a very big gap in between what a tween and a teen could be, right? So basically you have your children's programming, and that really for us, and every library is different, every community is different, but for us that runs from birth to probably around 4th grade, which is like maybe like to age 9 or 10. Once they hit that 9 or 10, they're not really they don't feel like a kid anymore. Like, we're kids, but they don't feel like a kid anymore. Sometimes what we're offering is a little too kiddie for them, but they're not quite the teen where they're like driving and, things like that. So you kind of have to find that 10 to probably, I'd say 13, 14. It's a very small window, but it's a very important window because that is where you're going to keep them coming into the library, right? Because once they turn 10 and they start to get kind of bored with the kiddie stuff, you're going to lose them. So it's really important to make sure that you've got something for them that's not quite kiddie, but not too advanced to where it's inappropriate for their cognitive thinking, for their peer, so you kind of have to be creative in that you're hitting that sweet spot, if you will. So the tweens really are who we're trying to get, right? Because we don't want them to leave and then lose them. So you got from about 10 to 14. Then I'd say the teens really, they're almost, some of them can kind of be grouped in with the adult programming, meaning it's more, and for us, adult programming is more what our patrons are interested in, is like crafting and hands-on things. So really, once you get to that about 16 age, they're kind of at that same cognitive level that they can do what the adults are doing, right? But you still want to make sure that you have in-between programs also that engage them so they're not feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to hang out with these boring adults, right? Like they want their own little space. So it's kind of like 2 micro groups into one, if you will.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So a couple minutes ago, when you were talking about your team, you talked about helping your team find their passions and grow their passions. Clearly you have a passion for library service. You have a passion for customer service. It's coming through in everything you're saying.
Thanks.
What are some of your passions outside the library?
Okay, well, what do I do outside of the library? Not
Think
a whole
about
lot,
the library.
because I'm like always at the library. Yeah, so actually that's funny that you say that, because one thing that I have found coming into the library, I've been here almost 13 years now, is sometimes and I just was talking to a patron about this, sometimes it makes me sad that I don't get like the library experience that our patrons get, right? Because like I'm here every day, we're creating the library experience. It's not the same for us as it is for somebody who walks in the door and is like, wow, this is a really great library, right? And it's so wonderful to hear that, but like, I want that experience too, right? So when I'm not here and I'm like traveling, I visit other libraries. And my husband's like, what are we doing? And I'm like, listen, I need to like have this experience. I want to explore. I want to, resource share, what we like to call resource share, and see what they're doing to, just to get that feeling. So I do that a lot. But I also, I love to craft. I'm a huge crafter, scrapbooking, paper crafting, crochet, you name it, I'm probably doing it. And then recently, back in my younger days, I used to play the guitar. And for my 40th birthday, I said, I want to pick the guitar back up again. So that's something that I've been doing. And now that my son is living here again, we're actually doing it together.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, I like to say that I can show him up, but I'm pretty sure he's going to excel past me here soon. So.
Acoustic or electric?
I prefer the acoustic. He wants the electric, but I'm like, it's easier actually. It's actually harder to learn on the acoustic than the electric, but that's why they tell you to learn on the acoustic. But I just think the sound is prettier. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And then I play with my grandbaby. Since they came back, he's going to be 3, so that's always fun. So I'm going to try to finagle him into a couple of library programs. So that's exciting to be able to share my love and passion with him. Mm-hmm. And hopefully he will. I mean, even the other day I took him to the park across the street and he turns around and he goes, "Library?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we were close, but he's like, "Can we go in?" And I was like, "Yes, we can go in." There's like literally nobody here, but I was like, I can't tell him no. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So clearly family is important to you as well.
Yes.
Do you get back to Michigan, Vera? Do you still have family in Michigan?
Yes. So both of my parents are there. My dad actually moved here for a little while, as did all of my siblings, but only my brother is still here and everybody else moved back, and then my older sister moved to Washington. But yeah, so they're all back home. I try to get back once a year. That's usually how it goes. It's just sometimes it's hard. I have a really bad flight anxiety. So usually we're driving and it's 20 hours and it's just a long time. Mm-hmm. But that's what I try. I try to get back once a year and then you try to make the rounds of finding everybody, mm-hmm. and you never can, but yeah.
So as you're traveling back, it's 20 hours.
Yes.
Do you stop and visit libraries on the way?
Of course. Yeah, so I've been to quite a few libraries, and we recently just went to Canada a few times, and so I've been to some Canadian libraries. I was at the Saskatchewan Library, and then I just went to the Moose Jaw Library. It was amazing. It's just neat to see the differences, but the similarities at the same time. And then, of course, I've been to the Seattle Library, the 10 stories, glass. I was like, boy, I don't want to be the person that's washing those windows or the person paying the person to wash the windows, because that can't be cheap. But that was amazing. And just sometimes it's just fun to think about how it all works, right? Like, we're a pretty small. Maybe in North Dakota we're a little bigger, but nationwide we're a pretty small library, right? So to think about these libraries with multiple stories and multiple things going on, I'm like, how do you even plan for the staff for that, right? So that's the weird things that I kind of think about sometimes. I don't know.
The Seattle Library is interesting because when it was built, it was actually controversial. The design of the building itself was very controversial, and they're fun to follow on social media. And they recently had a post, I can't remember if it was their 10th or 20th year since the building opened, and there was kind of a smart alecky, haha, look at us now kind of a post. But it's a neat building.
Yeah.
It's one of the few libraries I've been in that has an escalator.
Yes.
A lot of libraries just have elevators,
right?
But it has an escalator.
And the way where did you see how you return the books and they go through the machine and then they go up in the ceiling?
Right,
I'm like, what?
Right. Yeah, library conveyor belts are so cool.
Yes.
I was at a Menards. This is going to be, you're probably like, how does this connect, right? But,
I'm sure it does somehow.
I was at a Menards in Indiana, and they had an escalator for their second floor that your cart went on.
Oh.
So you pushed your cart on and you rode up the escalator, and then it was interesting. It was slightly unsettling though, because is the cart going to fall back on me? How am I going to get the cart off? I sometimes struggle on escalators when I have my luggage and I'm at an airport.
Right.
It was super slick. It was really slick.
In a Menards, nonetheless.
In a Menards. Yeah.
Right.
Everything connects to libraries in one way or another.
It really does. Yesterday, I was in my office with someone, and a patron came in and said, "Hey, would you mind if I clipped the tree sapling off, because we lost a tree during a storm, because I want to take it home and plant it." And the person in my office just looked at me and I said, "There is literally something for everybody at the library."
There is. I say that often, and I believe there's a book. Every reader has a book, and if you're not a reader, we just haven't found it yet. Mm-hmm. So how do you help someone who says libraries, they're who needs a library with Google, or I'm not a reader. Why do I need to come to the library? What would be your answer to that?
Yeah, so that is actually a question or a statement that we hear a lot. And I'm like, oh boy, if you were only at the library every day to see the 300 people a day we get, which for us is like amazing. But yeah, so you just have to constantly be thinking about, this is me, I don't know if everybody does this, but I'm constantly thinking about how can I relate what this person is looking for, saying, whatever, how can I relate that back to the library, right? Whether it's on social media, in person, oh gosh, there's nothing for me at the library, I don't read. Okay, well, great, but guess what? We have so many other things. Like we just got STEAM kits, we've got memory kits, we've got sensory kits. None of them entail reading, right? You can come and use our computers, you can come and use our Wi-Fi, you can literally just come and hang out in the building if you need to get in the air conditioning, get in the heat, get away from your family. I don't know. Like there's literally something here for everyone. And that is the cool, unique challenge of being in library land right now is we're constantly trying to fill the needs of our community, right? And not always can we get 100% of the need, right? But we're always like, gosh, would this work in our community? You know what? I just heard somebody the other day looking for this. Can we put this in the library? How can we make this work? We have our community center. It was like, hey, would you want to take the senior citizen Social Security computer and put it at the library? Because we don't really have room anymore. And I'm like, this is the perfect place for that, right? Does that involve reading? Not really. But is it something that we can offer to the community? Absolutely. So that's how I am, is every time I see a Facebook post or I'm hearing somebody talking, people probably get annoyed by me because I'm like, hey, guess what? We can help you with that at the library. So that's what I always try to think of, is how can we bring the people in, get them in here in any way.
Mm-hmm. And recently I was at your library. You have an annual fundraiser called Table of Contents. I thought it was fantastic. For people who don't know, community members come in and they bring their own personal dishes and they set a place setting at the table, and then people walk around, and then there's a silent auction. So that's one way that you're meeting community needs, that someone might be like, well, what does that have to do with libraries? It's plates and tableware. How would you say some of the unique things that you're doing relate to libraries and meeting community needs?
Yeah. So, tables of contents, that's been something that we've done for almost more than 20 years now. And yes, it literally has nothing to do with a library except for the name being tables of contents, right? Which I think, by the way, is completely clever. I wish I would have came up with it. But really what that is about is, first of all, it's getting people into the library, right? So not necessarily to get into the library to check out a book or anything like that, but making them aware of the physical building itself, getting them in the doors, getting me to mingle with people, right? Because I'm on my feet all the time, just going around to different people, getting the community to mingle with each other. So when Tables of Content started, we, like I said, over 20 years, we have people that have been doing it for that long. And now what we're seeing is the younger crowd coming up, right? So now you've got the younger crowd coming in because they're like, ooh, what's this about? But then they get to mingle with that crowd that has been doing this for so long, right? So it's getting people in, it's getting people talking to each other. It is providing space for local businesses. So we had a bank here. It was their 100-year anniversary. And they were like, oh gosh, this would be a really cool venue to do this. But the person who worked at the bank was actually a local baker. So then she actually baked goods for that. So you're getting her name out there. We have event planners that come and want to do it and say, oh gosh, this is something that you could get from one of our, if you rented us out to do your celebration, you could get this kind of setting. We have young kids that were in 4-H that were like, oh my gosh, we want to do a 4-H table to bring other members into their 4-H community. We've had our art center do one before on Van Gogh to make awareness of the art center. So there's just so many little parts and pieces of that one event that brings so many people together. The silent auction, we've had local businesses donate things. Oh, I didn't know that your board member also owns Windy Stitches, who also just donated this, right? So again, providing that space for people just to connect in all kinds of different ways. And it's just fun. And there's good snacks, really good snacks.
Is it the library's mission to connect people to each other?
Absolutely. I think that is probably, so a lot of people think, oh, the library's mission is to provide information through books, right? And yes, that is very much an important part of what we do. But personally, I feel that the community connections are the most important thing that the library offers, in whatever way that looks like, right? It might be different to every single person that walks in this door, that what they need of that community connection, whether it's just coming and talking to a library staff because they're lonely, or coming to meet another community staff, parents coming to meet other parents, teens coming to meet other teens. It doesn't matter. To me, that is the most important thing we're doing here, is making those connections.
And what is the library's mission?
The library's mission is to provide access to information throughout Williams County. And to me, that means, like, information, that's the thing. Information doesn't mean, to me, what probably Webster's dictionary says, right? Information is, oh, you're looking up for this, what is the definition of this, or where do I find this, or where do I find that? Information can also be that community connection. Information about who else is in my community that I can connect with. Who else is in my community that might be able to help me with this need? Who else is in my community that I can form a relationship with? So to me, information is all encompassing, all encompassing.
And your board supports that?
Absolutely. We have, like, I don't want to brag, but we literally have the best library board. They are, like, it kind of tears me up a little bit, actually, now that I'm, like, saying this out loud. They are so supportive of everyone in our community. Obviously, they're supportive of me. They're supportive of my staff. And don't get me wrong, just because they're supportive of me doesn't necessarily mean that every idea I bring to them, they're like, oh, this is great. No, they know they still have a job to do. But what makes them special is they really support every single person in our community, no matter where they came from, no matter what they're doing, no matter what they're looking for. They want to make sure that we are doing our best job to get them what they need. They are just simply amazing.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
If you could sum up in one sentence what you would want people to know about the Williston Community Library, what would it be?
The library is for everyone and has something for everyone.
That's awesome. And I think that's all kinds of libraries, no matter what community they're serving. The goal is to be the center of the community and to meet the community's needs.
Yeah.
So, well, we meandered through a couple of different roads today, Andrea. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. It was great to just see another side of you and see some different facets and learn a little bit more about what brought you to North Dakota. And we're very glad that you're here and that you're part of North Dakota Library Land. And so this is Mary Soucie, North Dakota State Librarian, and this is Pathways Through the Prairie. Have you wanted to learn a new language? Are you tired of paying for a subscription language learning tool? Well, through the North Dakota State Library or your local public library, you have access to a wonderful resource called Mango. Mango contains lessons on over 70 different languages and will help you become basically fluent in a new language. So pull out your library card, log in, and give it a try today.